Okay, good evening, residents and staff, and we will go ahead and call to order our council meeting for August 3rd. If I could please, we will go ahead and actually start with the Pledge of Allegiance by Andrea Perez, one of our Paramount Youth Commissioners, and then we will have our invocation by Pastor Brian Worth of Chapel of Change. Please stand, everyone.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Andrea Perez. We'll start. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This night, and we thank you for the city, and we thank you for the council people tonight. We pray that your hedge of protection be upon them and this blessed city, all the businesses and schools. May you protect us and bless this time together. Give us wisdom to make the right decisions. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Brian Worth and Andrea Perez. We appreciate you guys coming out tonight. Can I get a roll call of council members, please?
Yes, ma'am. Councilmember Aguayo.
Here.
Councilmember Guillen.
Here.
Councilmember Lemons. Vice Mayor Cuellar-Stallings.
Here.
Mayor Olmos.
I am here. Can I get a motion for the absence of Councilmember Lemons, please?
So moved. Second.
So I have a motion by Cuellar-Stallings, a second by Aguayo. Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Aguayo.
Yes.
Councilmember Guillen.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cuellar-Stallings.
Yes.
Mayor Olmos.
Yes. All right, we will start off our council meeting this evening with some presentations. So if I can have my council colleagues please come down to the lecture with me. Let's go on down. Good evening, everybody. Tonight we have a few public presentations. I'm going to go ahead and take this off for a minute. But before we'd like to start, I actually like to thank Andrea Perez. She's one of our Paramount Youth Commissioners. And Andrea, if you would please come up and take a picture with us. We'd just like to thank you for being a part of our meeting and starting our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. I do want to let everybody know, for people who don't know about the Youth Commission, the Commission provides a voice for our local high school students to express their concerns, learn about availability, about programs, share information about the city with their friends, and foster a sense of community spirit. The Commission was first formed in 2018 and has about 16 volunteers who are enrolled at Paramount High School or are Paramount resident that attend a non-PUSD high school. So Andrea, please come up and we'll take our picture. All right, for our first presentation tonight, I'd like to invite Mr. Mike McCohen to come up, please. Good evening, Mike. I'm happy to announce that Mike, who has been heavily involved in making our community a better place for many years, he will be the third recipient of the Mayor's Award of Excellence. A resident since the age of 3, he is an active member of Emmanuel Reformed Church, serves on his staff, and is involved with several of its ministries. For the past decade, Mike has been director of the Paramount Care Foundation Project Hope. Among many other things, Project Hope provides our residents in need with a consistent supply of nutrition, through his food bank. And I'm sure if you guys are all on social media, you see that every week. Mike is very, how can I was going to say active, thank you. He has been a longtime contributor to the city's Pitch and Paramount program, a collaboration between city staff and community volunteers that undertakes beautification projects around town. Mike also has a lifelong fascination with local history that began when he was in 5th grade and went to the Chamber of Commerce for a school project. Ever since, he has studied and collected the facts and stories that defined Paramount in the past and have helped him make the city what it is today. He has great fun sharing a number of these tidbits on the Progress in Paramount Facebook page, which has over 700 members, and he keeps everybody engaged. You should really check out and join the page if you're not on it already. This interest in history also led Mike to become my co-chairperson of the recently formed Paramount Heritage Parade Committee. His devotion to Paramount is complete, and the good he has done here is really unmistakable. I'm proud to give him the Mayor's Award of Excellence. Here you go, Mike. And would you like to say a few words? There you go. Mike?
I'm just tremendously honored. Can I take this off? Okay. I'm tremendously honored by this. I'm totally unexpected. Until Brenda told me, then I found out. But I love the city. I've been here for most of my life, since I was 3, and I'm 64, so you can do the arithmetic. And I love what the city represents. I love how it progresses. I have tremendous, tremendous faith and excitement about the city's future as well. And we also have an incredible past, an amazing past. And as we begin to scratch the surface, it gets you want to dig even deeper and deeper. And things like the Heritage Parade will help us celebrate that as we go into the future. Parade is scheduled tentatively for next year. So absolutely, it's going to be an amazing day when we have it next summer. But I just want to thank everybody, thank the City Council for this award. It's tremendous. I feel deeply honored, and I feel very special at this moment. Thank you.
If there are any students in here that need to do a report for high school, you might want to call Mike McCohen. I'm sure he could help you out. He's a great researcher. All right, we'll move on to our next presentation. Would Lieutenant Omar Camacho please come up? Tonight is the 38th anniversary of National Night Out, an anti-crime initiative that supports law enforcement and crime prevention efforts across the country. In conjunction with this, we also always recognize the commitment of our Neighborhood Watch members who serve our community by helping to keep it safe. We actually had a special event for them last night at Paramount Park. We appreciate their time, dedication, and love of the city. We also thank the Sheriff's Department for being our longtime partner in public safety. Through proactive strategies, paying attention to trends and statistics, and working with the community, the city and the Sheriff's Department have dramatically lowered the crime rate in Paramount over the years. The statistics in town are at levels not seen since the early 1970s, when our population was almost half of what it is today. As part of National Night Out, everyone is encouraged to leave their port lights on tonight as a sign of solidarity with our neighbors all over the nation. In recognition of our partnership with the Sheriff's Department, I am pleased to give this proclamation to Lieutenant Camacho. Here you go, Lieutenant Camacho. Camacho, National Night Out. Thank you for all you do for us. And would you like to say a few words?
Good evening, everyone. I am Omar Camacho, your service area lieutenant at the Paramount substation. We come together on National Night Out to celebrate the partnership between the community and law enforcement and how we strive together and make the city of Paramount a safe place for families, friends, businesses, and visitors. On behalf of Sheriff Alex Villanueva, Captain David Sprengel, and the many proud men and women that serve City of Paramount, I'd like to thank Mayor Brenda Olmos, Council, City Manager John Moreno, and Public Safety Team for your leadership and partnership with us in serving your great community. The city's commitment to families, children, our local veterans, activity through parks and recreation, local athletics, business partnerships, and priority of maintaining a safe community is what this city was built on. Lakewood Station is honored to serve and partner with your council, city personnel, and the people who work hard each day to ensure the city's values and expectations are met. Commitment to the protection of life and property through hard work, grace, and compassion remains our top priority. I'd like to thank each of you here in the audience and for your support of our deputies, and I look forward to working with you to continue building a strong partnership here in Paramount. We are very proud to be part of the Paramount community. Thank you all, and God bless.
So August is National Wellness Month across the United States, and we are celebrating that in Paramount tonight. This is a time to think about healthy routines, self-care, and managing stress. For instance, it's important to engage in some form of regular exercise, eat a nutritious diet, and get plenty of sleep. A focus on self-care is also vital to maintaining one's mental health. Of course, in today's world, it is sometimes difficult to keep on top of things like this. With National Wellness Month, we're giving a chance to focus on a positive, healthy lifestyle by considering healthier choices. With us to receive our proclamation is Diane Nichols, Associate Development Director from the Children's Clinic. The clinic has been providing quality health care for families in need since 1939 and has helped many of our residents here in Paramount. Diane, will you please come up? Here is a proclamation for the city for National Wellness Month, and would you guys like to say a few words to our residents? All right.
Hi, everyone. Just want to say thank you, and thank you to the City Council and Mayor for the support that you provide for the Children's Clinic Serving Children and their families, TCC Family Health, over the years. In this last year, TCC served over 1,000 City of Paramount residents and over 3,500 visits. And I want to introduce to you Lily Martinez, who's our Director of Health Education and Outreach Services. To say a couple words about
Hi, my name is Lily, and I do direct the Health Education and Outreach Department. And TCC Family Health is a nonprofit clinic. We're also one of the largest nonprofit employers in the surrounding area, so a lot of our residents in Paramount also work for us. And we're also working very close together with Parks and Recreation on outreach events to the community. We focus on serving those in the most need, and as Mayor Olmos was saying, there's a lot of things that get in the way of our self-care, especially stress, and a lot of those stressful things come from being a family that's low income. So we also provide for things that are called social determinants of health. We have food pantries, and we provide over 30,000 pounds of fresh produce to local families that don't have enough to eat on a weekly basis. We help families connect with CalFresh or the food stamp program. We provide transportation to families to their medical appointments, and we're also providing the 3 COVID vaccines at our local clinics. The closest one being at Hamilton Middle School on Orange and 70th Street, right on the border of Paramount and Long Beach, and also our clinic in Bellflower near Artesia and Lakewood. And we're working with Parks and Rec and the COVID vaccine line here in Paramount, who's sending a lot of patients our way, so we're vaccinating hundreds of residents each month. Thank you so much. Forgot to mention that both Diane and I live here as well.
So a big thank you to all the recipients tonight. Each one of you guys really make a difference in our community. If it comes to Mike McComan giving out vaccines to our residents, that's what makes it special. So again, thank you so much, and we appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on with the agenda. Do we have any city council public comment updates at this time?
Yes, we do, Madam Mayor. From the July 20th, 2021 meeting, we had a commenter by the name of Ms. Abigail Torres, and she requested that her street be patrolled for parked cars that block the roadway, and she also had concerns about public safety response times. Following the city council meeting, Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department Lieutenant Camacho, he spoke with Ms. Torres regarding her parking concerns on the 8400 block of Albert Street. Lieutenant Camacho provided Ms. Torres his contact information and encouraged her to contact him should she have any concerns related to the response time from sheriff's deputies. He also informed her that the dispatcher does assign the calls based on priority, and at times parking calls may unfortunately take a little bit longer to address due to the call volume that evening or that day. Additionally, Public Safety and the Sheriff's Department will conduct routine patrol checks to address parking violations in her neighborhood. And that concludes our public comment updates from July 20th, 2021.
Thank you, John. Okay, at this time, we will move over to public comments.
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have 3, 1 in person and 2 emailed. We'll do the in-person one first, and that is from Mr. Alejandro Yanez, and he has general comments. Mr. Yanez?
But yet, you've been, for the last 11 years that I've been coming to this meeting, requesting recreational opportunities for the ages of 18 to 60. I've been ignored. We still don't have none. You know, right now, this country is following the Olympic sports, and there's all kinds of sports. You know, we got boxing, we got handball, we got swimming, cycling. We got so many different sports that our youth could be involved in, but yet our council seems to ignore us. You know, if there was awards given around, you know, like gold medals or bronze medals or silver medals, you know, we wouldn't get anything. We'd probably get one for gold for racism and discrimination, because that's all I've gotten out of this. You know, last year around this time, council brought up that there was just no money for handball courts, because I'm the advocate. I'm the handball advocate. I've been advocating for handball for years, and we don't have nothing in this city. We have nothing for young men to participate in, and you come up here and you give this hypocritical speech about health and wellness, but yet I've been addressing you for 11 years, and you've been ignoring me, right? Because you have the prints, right? You have the prints that you already spent $50,000 on to develop. You have the place that I had to go to the park to check all the boxes that had a bathroom, that the police could come take a look at us. So it would be right down the street so you guys could patrol us like prisoners, yet we're not prisoners. And that's what you've been slandering us. You've been slandering us, our whole community. No, there's nothing. There's not one young man that comes up here other than me asking for recreation. And I've been after it for 11 years. And I'm not going to get done with it. You're going to see me at every meeting. You know, you had your little mayor get together. I went to it. You saw me there, right? I was there. I went to that meeting, and there was nobody there that wanted to see you. The only people that were there were the people that were in the staff. These people here. I went out, and I personally met more people walking around that duck pond than any person that you spoke with. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of money that you go out there and you float around like it's some pageant. You know, that money could have been better spent towards our community, having some youth involvement. You know, what did we get out of that? What did we get out of it? I'm still coming up here after 11 years trying to get recreation for our kids, 18 to 60. Nobody else is involved in that around here. Nobody else has come up here for anything. I haven't seen any one of your supporters, any of your softball girls, come up here and say they want softball. In 11 years, I've been the only one, and you're still ignoring me. Thank Mr. Rendon for giving us that money. But you girls are the ones that said, we just don't have the money to build it. Well, now you have the money. So now it's time to put up or shut up. Thank you for your time.
So I just want to make a public comment on that. As the mayor's coffee, I just want to let you know that actually I was able to meet 8 new residents I've never met before. Councilmember Aguayo was with me, and it was a great turnout. We actually got to speak to some residents who brought some great ideas ways to improve our city. So thank you, Mr. Yanez, for being there, and I appreciate you spending the time with Lieutenant Camacho and having a good conversation with him, and thank you for attending. I appreciate it. All right, anything else?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have 2 written comments through email, and I'll turn that over to our city clerk, Ms. Heidi Luce, who will handle both of them. Ms. Luce?
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. The first comment is from Nicole Duckworth, who is a Lakewood resident. Good evening, Honorable City Council. My name is Nicole Duckworth, and I actually live in Paramount's neighboring city, Lakewood. I wanted to start off by saying thank you for all the amazing things you have been and you continue doing for the city. I may not be living in Paramount, but I have been seeing on social media and hearing about all the amazing things you guys have been doing. I imagine it is not easy being an elected official, and even more so in the last year and a half with COVID-19 going on. You guys have stepped up and really helped the community. From virtual meetings to finding ways to celebrate the graduates, to provide help to the seniors in the community, and to providing the community with food drives, free masks, COVID testing, and vaccinations. I applaud you for all the work you have done and continue to do. In an uncertain time, you have showed us that we can and will get through this together. Secondly, as a Girl Scout leader of Troop 1613 here in Paramount, I wanted to thank you for the opportunity of using the community garden at Progress Park. Our girls have enjoyed every aspect of it, from learning what grows best in summer to choosing what to grow and planting it, to now being able to pick the ripe vegetables. It would be great if we could have something like this for our girls, along with other troops interested, to continue to be able to use year-round, to not just have fun, but be able to learn what grows, when, and to give them the opportunity to see the success and failures and the work it takes to keep a growing garden. Thank you, Nicole Duckworth. And the second comment is from Andrea Crow with the Paramount Library. Good evening, Mayor Olmos, council members, and the City of Paramount. Paramount Library is hosting a COVID-19 vaccine clinic tomorrow, August 4th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Vaccines are available for everyone age 12 and over. Appointments can be made on myturn.gov, and walk-ups are welcome. The first dose of the Pfizer vaccine will be given. The follow-up for the second dose will be scheduled for 3 weeks later. The vaccines are free, and health insurance is not required. No immigration questions will be asked. For information, visit https://lacountylibrary.org/COVID-vaccine or call the library at 562-630-3171. Thank you. That concludes the comments, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Heidi.
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, if I could just add one thing in regards to Ms. Duckworth's request. We are going to let the Girl Scouts use that year-round, the
Okay.
community garden, so they will have it year-round. We'll
Perfect.
get a hold of her to
Let her
inform
know.
her that
All right. Thank you,
that will
John.
be done. Mhm.
Thank you for the clarification. Okay, we are all done with public comments at this time?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You guys, we will go ahead and move on to the consent calendar. I will go ahead and entertain a motion in a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
So I have a motion by Quer Stallings and a second by Aguayo. Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Aguayo,
Yes.
Councilmember Guillen,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cuellar Stallings,
Yes.
Mayor Olmos.
Yes. All right, we'll be moving on to new business. Item number 7, oral reports. We have an update from Los Angeles County Assessor Jeffrey Prang. So John, will you start with the bio now, or is he ready?
Yeah, why don't we introduce Assessor Prang as he's coming on, and if Mayor, if you want to, well, let's make sure that we have a connection with
Okay.
him first before you read his bio. That'd be great.
I'm here. I'm not sure if you're receiving me at your end.
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick bio on you, okay?
Very good.
All right. So I'd like to introduce at this time Los Angeles County Assessor Jeff Prang. Los Angeles County Assessor Jeff Prang was elected in 2014 as a 27th assessor for the County of Los Angeles and re-elected in 2018. Raised in Warren, Michigan, Assessor Prang is a graduate of Michigan State University. After graduation, Mr. Prang relocated to California, where he served nearly 18 years as a council member for the city of West Hollywood, including 4 terms as mayor and among many other positions in the public sector. Upon taking office in 2014 as the Los Angeles County Assessor, Mr. Prang implemented sweeping reforms to ensure that the strictest ethical guidelines rooted in fairness, accuracy, and integrity would be adhered to in his office. Assessor Prang is a state board of equalization licensed appraiser and it administers the largest of its kind in the nation with 1,200 employees that provides the foundation for our property tax system that generates over $17 billion annually. Welcome, Assessor Prang.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that kind introduction. It's great to be here this evening. I want to thank the mayor and the council for welcoming me this evening, and I want to thank City Clerk Heidi Luce for helping set up this time together. I hope that the information I provide today will be useful to you and to to our mutual constituents in the great city of Paramount. So let me first get started by explaining just a little bit about what the assessor does, and just as importantly, what I do not do. The one thing that the public thinks that I do, that I actually don't do, is that I don't collect taxes. There's another guy who does that. He has a very intuitive title. He's called the tax collector. I'm often called the tax assessor, but there is no such thing as a tax assessor, and that's actually a conflation of 2 separate offices, the assessor and the tax collector. For those unfamiliar with the job, I am one of 3 countywide elected officials, the other 2 being a little bit known than me, and that's the sheriff and the district attorney. The department that I manage with over 1,300 employees has 6 locations throughout the county. As the assessor, I'm responsible for assessing all taxable property in the county, both real property as well as business personal property. Business personal property includes furniture, equipment, and machinery, as well as aircraft, commercial aircraft, general aviation aircraft, mobile homes, boats, and even racehorses. As the largest local property assessment in the United States, we are responsible for establishing the value for over 2.5 million real property parcels and business assessments throughout the county. This year, the assessment roll represented over 2.5 million parcels and business assessments, which were valued at $1.7 trillion, which will generate $17 billion in property tax revenue, which is allocated to local governments such as the city of Paramount, which is also one of the primary sources of local revenue for services that we all depend on. Now, the assessment roll, which I mentioned earlier, is the foundation for the property tax system, and it's essentially the inventory of all taxable property in the county. And the way the system works is the registrar, when you change ownership of property, when you buy property, the registrar recorder notifies us. We then do a valuation of that property. That information is then sent to the auditor controller, who determines how much you owe, and then the treasurer tax collector sends out the bills and collects the payments. So there's a number of different departments that each have a different piece of the property tax administration puzzle. This year, the assessment roll showed that property values increased for the 11th consecutive year. While property values did grow overall in LA County, there were some negative points, and the growth was less than it had been in the previous year, but overall it's a reasonably optimistic year. The assessment roll, property values countywide grew at 3.7%, or a net of $62.9 billion over the previous year. But when you think about it, given the COVID-induced recession that we all experienced, positive property tax growth was good news for local government and for sustaining county services and city services. To give an idea of some of the things that's going on at the in the local real estate market, I can report that property values in the city of Paramount grew at 2.5%. Just to give you an idea, we record that there's 5,800 single-family homes, 1,400 apartments, and 1,900 commercial properties in the city of Paramount. This year, the 2.5% increase in property values in Paramount was a little bit less than the county average. That's not to say that property values are not strong. It just means probably that there's fewer transactions taking place. Another statistic that I wanted to point out to you was the median sales price. Median sales prices in LA County are at an all-time high. They increased 22% countywide to $850,000. The city of Paramount, the median sales price for a single-family home, not including condominiums, increased 17% to $575,000. A little bit less than the county average, but still very respectable growth in single-family homes. On the other end of the spectrum, we did see other types of properties negatively impacted from the pandemic. Office and retail space struggled to maintain businesses due to the safe-at-home mandate, while office and retail space did struggle. Industrial space did relatively well. We were watching commercial office space very carefully as a lot of businesses set their employees to work from home. We thought there was going to be a reduction in value in some office space. That does not seem as though it's going to happen at this point. One thing that we did do, it's a little bit that we've never done since Prop 13 was put into effect. We did a proactive review of business personal property. And again, that's furniture, equipment, and machinery. But because a lot of businesses were closed during the pandemic, such as restaurants, gyms, retail stores, they had a lot of that equipment that was not being used. If the equipment is not being used, its value was impacted. As a result, we did proactive property tax relief to over 47,000 small businesses countywide, reducing assessed values by over $210 million. In the city of Paramount, we proactively reduced the personal property assessments for 466 businesses out of a total of 1,061 businesses that pay that tax. This represents tax relief for about 44% of all business personal property in the city of Paramount, or approximately $1.1 million in reductions. And if you're a business owner and your business did not receive a proactive reduction, it's important to remember that you can request a review of your business property by filing what we call a decline in value review application, which is easily found on my website. Another thing I wanted to talk about, because it's been very topical since over the course of last year, deals with Proposition 19, a measure that was passed on last fall's ballot. It's an amendment to Prop 13 that does two things. The first component of the measure and the one that was very popular with allows owners to buy a home anywhere in the state, to transfer that property tax base up to 3 times, and to buy a home of any value. The previous law only allowed you to transfer your property tax base to a home of equal or lesser value. The second component refers to the transfer of property between family members, specifically between parents and children and grandparents and grandchildren. We refer to these as intergenerational transfers. Many members of the public were not very well aware of this component of the measure during the campaign. The law applies to everyone who owns property, and it applies severe new restrictions on the transfer of property between family members. Under the previous law in California, you could transfer your home of any value and $1 million in additional property to your children without that property being reassessed for tax purposes. However, under Prop 19, that's changed. Now, the only property that your children can inherit along with the low tax base is your primary residence. No other property now qualifies. Secondly, in order for your children to inherit that property and that tax base, they must make that home their primary home within a year of the transfer and file the homeowner's exemption. There's also a limit on how much value of their primary residence your children can inherit. And to oversimplify, essentially, if your home is worth less than $1 million, your kids can inherit the home and there'll be no change in assessment. But once that property exceeds $1 million, there's going to be a new tax rate that's going to go up. It'll be a blended tax rate with partially inherited tax rate and a new market rate. One of the difficult things we've been dealing with Prop 19 is it was passed full of ambiguities and deficiencies. There's a number of things that are unclear for assessors on how to administer the law. Usually when ballot measures are passed, they're quickly followed by legislation that clarifies those deficiencies. Unfortunately, Prop 19 only gave assessors 3 months to implement the measure, which was simply impossible. We probably would have needed a good 18 months because it's a significant change in our operations. However, there is legislation circulating. Senate Bill 539 will clarify a lot of those deficiencies. Unfortunately, until that law is passed, it's going to, there's still going to be a lot of questions the public has that we won't have answers to. If you want more information about Prop 19, we have a special page on our website dedicated to Prop 19. The last big thing I want to mention deals with tax savings. People don't always know that my office also manages a number of tax savings programs for seniors, veterans, and the disabled. But we also, last year, for instance, my office provided taxpayers with about $650 million in savings through these various exemptions and exclusions. The one I want to highlight, though, is the homeowner's exemption. It's our most accessible program, and it's available to anyone who owns their home and who occupies that home as their principal residence as of January 1st. It reduces your assessed value by $7,000 for tax purposes, which will save you about $70 on your property tax bill every year. I know it's not very much, but at a time when people on fixed incomes or unemployed, anything that can save them a little bit of money, we're certain that they'll appreciate. We estimate that countywide, about a third of county homeowners do not file for the homeowner's exemption, primarily because they don't know about it, and as a result, there's about $30 million in savings that go unredeemed. Importantly, for the city of Paramount, we estimate that 44% of all eligible homeowners do not file the homeowner's exemption. It's a one-time application. You can download it from our website and mail it in. You only have to complete it once. Perhaps my office can work with the city to try to educate nearly 50% of your homeowners who are not taking advantage of this very easy-to-access tax savings programs. So that wraps up my the things I wanted to discuss with you today. I wanted to encourage anybody who wants more information about our office to visit our website at assessor.lacounty.gov. If you want more information from our office, you can also subscribe to our newsletter. And I'm really do appreciate Mayor, you and members of the council welcoming to our meeting this evening, and thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit of important information about our office.
Thank you so much for coming. You gave us a lot of great information today, and I actually like the idea you mentioned of possibly having staff come out to our residents and kind of give us some information. You talked about business rebates, even with about Proposition 19. So we would love to have that if possible, and maybe set up some type of seminar for our residents just to hear about all the great things you spoke about.
We would enjoy that. We do community seminars. Prior to COVID, we were doing it with great regularity, and it would be great if we could make Paramount the first city that we do it in after we start doing things in person.
Yep, we would like that. Thank you so much. And it was great seeing you at our Paramount event a couple weeks ago. Thank you for coming out to our city. We appreciate you being here.
We love the city of Paramount and always grateful to have the opportunity to be there.
All right, have a good evening. Thank you. Okay. All right, we'll move on to our next oral report, which is Public Participation Forum, Paramount Park Pool Upgrades.
Yes, Madam Mayor, this is a fun one. This year's budget includes a very ambitious project to make some much needed and some very fun upgrades to Paramount Pool. Most of the funding for this project will come from a county parks measure that was approved by LA County voters some years ago. Using this funding does require a public presentation, so that's what we're doing here tonight. So with that, I'll turn it over to our Community Services Director, Mr. Dave Johnson, who will walk you through the item. Dave?
Thank you, John. Mayor and council members. So the last time we did a major upgrade to Paramount Pool was about 15 years ago, and the pool is definitely showing its age. And as John mentioned, we will be using the County Measure A funds. This will be the first project that we will use those funds on. We've actually had to hold on to those funds for about 3 years. We may need a fourth year to make this project happen. Our Public Works team will actually be the department that actually manages the construction of this project. But the meeting does require, with these Measure A funds, that we do hold this meeting. We did do a meeting like this at our Parks and Rec Commission meeting. We'll be at the Heritage Festival this Saturday, also with the displays of what we're proposing for the pool, so people can comment as well at that event. So, whoops. Okay, there it goes. So what you see here is a list of items that are generally in disrepair at the pool. It's the deck, it's plaster. Then we have a section of lighting that is actually out and has created a safety issue in part of the pool. Our splash equipment is the original equipment from 15 years ago. We have actually painted it once, and it didn't stay very long. And then we do have an ambitious idea to deal something with a little different at the deep end than the diving area. The estimated construction timeline will be from November 2021 to March 2022. Again, that's our estimated timeline. In that period, we did consult with YMCA, we did consult with the district. So we are starting in November to allow them to finish their current water polo season. Their swim season will be interrupted, so they do have time to look for another location. Again, every 15 years this should come up. And then the YMCA will obviously have to cancel some of their lessons until the spring and the pool reopens. So these are just some pictures to demonstrate kind of the disrepair that the pool has undergone over the last 15 years. On the top left, that's a pool toy. You see discoloration on that drain there. The pool toys they function, but they just look bad. You see in the middle there, the decking, there's a lot of damage to the deck. You'll see more discoloration on the pool plaster on the bottom left, and in the bottom right, we do have some serious cracks entering into the plaster. So this is a general picture of the pool itself. I just want to bring your attention primarily to, so the entire pool will be replastered. We'll redo all the deck around the pool. We'll fix the lighting in the one corner in which we're having problems. But on that bottom right, the shaded area, that's our deep end. So that is currently 10 feet. So we used to have a diving board there. The diving board actually had a history of breaking, so it was down a lot. But the other problem with that deep end, you had to be a level 5, a top level swimmer to use that diving board because you were going into 10 feet of water. So it wasn't actually available to a lot of folks because they weren't level 5 swimmers. So what we're looking at doing here is again, the diving board's already gone, but we're going to raise that area up from 10 feet to 4 feet and bring in a slide, or a pool slide. So this cross-section view kind of shows you, again, that shaded area is the deep end, and it shows you that it's going to be going up from 10 feet to 4 feet, and then slowly, gradually going down to a 6-foot level for where the diving block area is for the swim team. So there's a general picture of what you might see with a pool slide going into that area. We have to run water to that pool slide to make it so kids can actually slide. And these are our splash elements. So we're going to get brand new splash elements, but this is really nice. The way the splash elements are situated now, they're actually buried in the plaster. So if you ever had to replace a piece of equipment, you would have to dig up the plaster to replace that equipment. The new technology now is that they actually have a saddle. So the saddle will be installed on the plaster, and then the equipment will be installed in the saddle. So if you do ever have to, say 5 years from now, something breaks or we want to change something out, you can actually pull it out, put a new piece in without damaging the plaster. And this is a general idea of what that pool slide might look like, which again would be a lot more fun for kids than the diving board, and littler kids can use it and lower level swimmers can use it because they'll be going into 4 feet of water instead of 10 feet. And it's recommended that the City Council receive and file this report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Also, Madam Mayor, just real quick, we also like to open it up to the public for any comments, since this is a public participation forum. So.
We can open up to the public for comments at this time. Anybody would like to come up and speak up in favor or oppose? No? Any comments from my colleagues? Questions for Dave?
I was looking at the pool schedule, and it looks like they are at an hour-and-a-half increments. And so I was wondering, are they such short periods of time due to COVID right now?
It is in response to how we ran it last year. So it was credited that way so they would have cleaning periods in there. We did retain that this year. The expectation is next summer, when COVID hopefully is completely gone, that we'll go back to our normal large block of time, yes.
Okay, thanks, because I thought an hour and a half, the parents barely have time to get their kids in, swim, and they're getting them back out.
We agree. And again, it's a reaction to COVID, and we expect it to be gone next year.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Hey, Dave, on the when you're decreasing the feet or the diving board, you said that was okay for the swim team? Or they have to dive in and do what they...
Yeah, because when that area will go from 4 feet, slide down to 6 feet, we're actually going to have to, the depth of the diving area right now is, I think, 4.5, 5 feet. Because we're doing such a major remodel to the pool, the new guidelines from the county health department is that it becomes 6 feet. Okay. So we're actually going to be deepening that area to make it more safe for the divers.
Got it.
So yeah, it will go from 4 down to
Makes
6
sense.
feet, and they'll have a legal lane to jump into.
Got it. Okay. Perfect.
David, so we will no longer have a diving board, correct?
I have a pool slide.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dave. All right. We'll move on to our next award of contract for Progress Plaza art piece.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. As you know, we've made it a point over the years to ensure that Progress Park Plaza remains our premier facility for residents and our community groups to use for their events. Adding to this effort, we're asking for your approval tonight for a new art piece that will adorn the outdoor plaza area of this facility. So with that, I'll turn it over to John Carver, our planning director, who will walk you through the item. John?
Thank you, John. Madam Mayor and council members, this item is an award of contract for professional services with JK Designs for an art piece at Progress Plaza. Over the years, the city has purchased numerous pieces of art from JK Designs. The art piece has a cost of $103,500, which is similar to recently purchased art pieces, such as the 19th Amendment art piece that cost $90,000. Funding for the art piece will come completely from the city's Art and Public Places Fund, and money for this fund is collected from large-scale construction projects that have a valuation over $100,000. The art piece would be located in the plaza area, and it would be installed on an existing 3-tiered concrete base and would measure 6 feet 10 inches in width and 7 feet in height, and the piece would be fabricated from stainless steel. The art piece would be titled Event Horizon, and it would complement existing art pieces at Progress Plaza including Unfolding Star, which is in the Plaza area. And this will also complement the nearly complete interior remodel of the Progress Plaza building. And here's a look at where the art piece will be located in the aerial in the red dot in the Plaza area. And then 2 shots of what the art piece will look like after it's installed. And under the city's purchasing policy, contracts over $40,000 require city council approval. Contracts are to be awarded based on the demonstrated competence of the contractor and not solely on cost. As mentioned earlier, the city has purchased numerous pieces of art from JK Designs, and we are confident in the quality of their work. And it's recommended that you award the contract to JK Designs for the Progress Plaza art piece in an amount not to exceed $103,500, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions for John on this item?
A beautiful piece.
I couldn't tell if it was green or silver, though. In the
It's
picture,
that was a little distorted in the one picture. It'll be stainless steel. So
okay, it'll be stainless steel.
Right.
'Cause the other one looked like leaves. Like green
Yeah.
leaves. Okay.
Yeah. The color was a little distorted in that photo.
And John, you said the funds would come from where to pay for this?
It's from the Art and Public Places Fund.
Okay.
That's a percentage fee that's collected on a building permit on large projects that are have a valuation over $100,000.
No questions for John? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Second.
So motion by Quer-Stallings, second by Guillen. Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Aguayo?
Yes.
Councilmember Guillen?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Quer-Stallings?
Yes.
Mayor Olmos?
Yes. We'll move on to our item number 10, which is an approval for proposed changes to the park facility rental policies and procedures.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. The last item on the agenda involves enhancing some of the rules in our park shelter rental policy, as you mentioned. Recently, we've been experiencing some activity at Paramount Park picnic shelters during the weekends that has not been so much in accordance with the rules that were established by this city council some time ago. As I've reported to you in the past, this activity has actually caused us to shut down Paramount Park, that is the entire park, due to some illicit parties that were occurring at the shelters that ended up attracting very, very large crowds. According to the sheriff's deputies, who responded to these incidents at the time, had we not shut down the park, these incidents had the potential to really grow into larger, more volatile situations. So we're hoping that if approved by the council tonight, these amendments to the policy will persuade applicants to stick to the rules and also stick to what they put in their applications and host more orderly events for them and their guests. So with that, I'll turn it over to our Community Services Director, Mr. David Johnson, who will walk you through the item. Dave?
Thank you, John, Mayor and City Council. So I'm going to walk you through some of the early issues that we've dealt with in the parks and the application of the new park codes with regards to our shelters. And again, we kind of knew that when we passed those park codes that it would be a living and breathing process for a while to dial things in, and that's kind of what we're dealing with right now. So since reopening the parks in May of 2021, we've had multiple cases where we've had violations of our policies. We do now employ, during the summer, we have 2 park services staff, or concierge staff. They're there to be customer service staff. They are on site for the majority of the day. They're there to educate residents about what the park codes are and what you're allowed to do under our shelter permits. They're there to hopefully prevent infractions and inform people and give them an opportunity to follow the policies. And again, they have an application. They know what the permit was for, and so they do communicate that to the permittee. So the park violations that we've seen are that list there. We've had car shows. Again, according to our park code, you can have a car show, but it has to go through a special event permit process. So you can request it, and it is an extended process you'll have to go through to make sure that we can safely do that. Personal barbecues are not allowed on the parks. We did install brand new barbecues at both Progress Park and Paramount Park. We basically said you can't have any open flame device or bring any personal equipment we're seeing obviously a lot of use of taco vendors. We have shelter setups, so once you rent the gazebos, you're not allowed to actually have any kind of picnic setup outside of the gazebos. So we see a lot of people putting tents up because they're trying to extend the size of their party outside of that gazebo space. We've seen alcohol use, we've actually seen drug use. We have illegal parking, which obviously damages the flow of traffic in the park. Loud music, which again, you're not allowed how to amplify music, but we're seeing a lot of DJs. And we've seen a lot of cases where, the permit is say for 50 people, you get gazebos 5, 6, and 7. You can have 50 people there. They're way exceeding that. We don't go out and count the number of bodies, but we do look at it and go, wow, that's probably twice the number of people you're allowed to do. So we don't really nitpick it, but once you go beyond a certain point where it's really obvious, then it's a problem. We also have had people use false addresses to get a permit. We've had people who are residents who can legally get a permit, but are doing it for a non-resident. So I want to walk you through a couple weekends, several weekends. The first weekend was good. Actually, it was a very slow weekend. Only 2 reservations. Nobody was in violation. So that was a good weekend. And then it got interesting. So the weekend of July 10th, we had 6 reservations. We had 2 groups in violation. And there was a lot of things going on that. And I'll show you a video of that event. And then the weekend of July 17th, something very similar. We had a lot of reservations and a lot of groups in violation. But the one on July 10th was extraordinary. And again, we'll show you a video of the weekend of July 17th as well. So this one, before we show you the video, this was permitted as a family gathering. That was it. They did get a permit to use the ball field for a family tournament. And I do want to caution, we do show the video that both videos, you're going to hear music that probably doesn't have always the most appropriate wording, and it can be offensive. What this event actually was, unbeknownst to us, was it was a celebrity rapper event. And the only thing that we could tell from this video, because there's a lot of violations you'll see in this video, the only thing they actually did right was they used our barbecues. So you'll see vendors selling things. You'll see alcohol, gambling, marijuana, shelters outside of the gazebo, incredibly excess size in terms of number of participants that are allowed, illegal parking, etc. And this is the one that eventually caused the park to be shut down. Our public safety team had to come out and get a handle on this event and make sure that everyone was safe. But this is really bad when we have to shut down a park. So Anthony, if you could play the video.
1, 2, 3 into the 4. PC Fun Day. Come on. Hey, PC what's going on? Hey, it's been a long time coming, baby. You feel me? Come first so I can bust like a bubble. Compton and Long Beach together, now you know you in trouble. Ain't nothing but a G-Bang, baby. Too low down. So we're crazy. Death Row is the label that pays, man. Unfadable, so please don't try to fake this. But back to the lecture at hand. Man, come see what we got. So I'ma let them understand from a young G's perspective. And before me, they're gonna have to find a contraceptive. You never know, she could be earning her man and learning her man. And at the same time, burning her man.
So this is a great party. It belongs in a private space, not a public space. And then the production value of their video is great. They actually were another thing they're violating. You can't actually have a drone on the park, but they shot their video with the drone. So this again was a really large event that caused a lot of problems, and we did have to shut down the park. The next one, this was permitted as a birthday party. What it actually was a memorial event. It had a car show. It had a memorial drive-by. So you'll see the people, they're not even in gazebos. They're in gazebos 8A and 8B, which is the large gazebos closest to the community center. They weren't even in there. They're on that grass area, and it was essentially a memorial drive-by. They had a DJ. They had extra shelters. It exceeded their size that they were allowed. They had vendors. So it was a problematic event, and I have an item on here. It was not in the staff report, but it will be in this presentation. About how we could possibly deal with memorial events going forward. So can you show the video?
Original fans clean.
All right, check me out. 3 o'clock. We're going to announce the 50-50, 3 o'clock. The 50-50 gets announced. Make sure you get your raffle tickets on that. Also, tacos almost ready. We also got some delightful treats on this side for sale. So if you want some exotic treats, come check us out. We got chamoy dip. We got some pre-rolls, we got all that. Come get it, baby. Panicker's in the house. Let's go.
So these are the kind of events that it is difficult for other families that want to have a family event on the park. It is problematic. And again, I'll show you what or recommend to you what we would like to see with memorial events going forward. So when people make an application to use our facilities, such as the picnic shelters, they do enter this agreement. They do have to sign it. We do go over it with them. You see a list of all the things that we do talk to them about. So it is made very obvious to them what they can and cannot do, and they do sign it, and we do have a copy of it when we go out to the park. So based upon that, what we're seeing, we're going to hopefully clarify some things for them. Because our section that said no amplified music, they didn't think that was a DJ. A DJ is amplified music. So in the last video, you heard that was a DJ on the park, very loud, and again, sometimes playing inappropriate music. So we're going to would like to recommend that we specifically say in our agreement that you cannot have a DJ. We do say in there that you cannot have picnic setups outside the gazebos. That was confusing to them, that, well, that doesn't say I can't have a tent or an easy up or a pop-up. So we're specifically going to call that out, that you cannot have a pop-up or tent structure of any kind outside of or inside the gazebo space. Now, again, if you're using the gazebo and say you need to just put out some tables outside the gazebo because you want to put your cake there, anything of that nature, that's fine. If you want to put some lawn chairs out there, that's fine. It's what we're trying to prevent is that they're trying to extend the size of their party by going outside the gazebo space and making it larger than what's permitted. And then the last item is we're going to specifically detail out that taco vendors are not allowed on the park. Again, it does not allow you to bring any kind of heating equipment or barbecuing equipment, and that includes a taco vendor. The other item we'd like to address is the deposit. We don't want to change the fee. It's at $50 per day, but the deposit. So what we're coming across, our staff on site is letting them know that if you're in violation, and if you stay in violation, you will lose your deposit, which is currently $150. Some residents are saying, great, I can afford that, go ahead and take it. And they will refuse to comply, and again, it becomes a problem for us. So again, if you don't comply, if you do comply, we will give your deposit back. If you don't comply, then we do take your deposit away. But the $150 does not seem to be much of a deterrent, so we're raising that deposit up to $250. Whoops, I'm missing a slide here. So one of the other things that we'd like to address is, and it's in the staff report, is that if you are in violation, we do want to provide some kind of additional punishment. That's not probably the right word. Let's think of it as an incentive not to commit violations. That if you are caught in violation, that you're actually going to be banned from taking out a permit for a year. We did take this to the Parks and Recreation Commission. We actually were originally proposing 6 months. It was their recommendation that we put it to a year. It will be attached to the house, not to just the applicant, but to the applicant's address. So it's kind of anybody in that home is now banned from taking out a permit for a park shelter for a year's time. The other aspect was what I mentioned previously was memorial events. I'd like to propose that for memorial events, it also go through the special event permit process. So I don't want to say no to that necessarily, but like a car show, it can cause problems in the traffic flow of that site. It can exceed the number of people. It can become problematic. So we'd like to then put that through the special event permit process, which when again, it goes to public safety, they have input as to how to manage that event, and there will be additional costs associated with that. That concludes my report, and our recommendation is to have the City Council approve or modify the proposed changes to the park facility rental policies and procedures, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Do we have questions for Dave Johnson? Before I go, I'll let you guys go first.
I do, Brenda.
Okay.
My question is, I understand the need to make some changes, but we're punishing everybody on the deeds of those that don't follow the rules. So when you're going to require a $250 deposit, that's a lot of money for a family who's just trying to have a birthday party. I understand why you want to do it, but you have to look at the other side of it as well. And if a family's going to have a birthday party, they have to come up with a $250 deposit, come up with the gifts, their decorations, and all the expenses that goes into having a party, which is a lot. And then to require $250 because somebody else ruined it, it's too much. There's another alternative where you could keep your costs low and put into place something else where if they violate, they'll be fined, they'll receive a citation from the city. But I don't think it's right to condemn everybody based on what a few people do.
Councilmember McGeehan, I agree with you. We actually had that debate in my office. But at the end of the day, you get the money back.
But you still got to come up with it. And if I'm making $40,000 a year and I got 5 kids and every so often I'm having a birthday party for them, $250 may not be a lot to you, but it is to those families. $250 is a lot of money for a deposit.
I agree.
And on top of that, they got to fund. And yes, they will get it back, but in order to have a birthday party, you got to have a lot of money saved up. And we're not talking about families, who have their own yards or their own facilities at home to do it. We're talking about people who live in apartments and are barely making it, and requiring them to come up with $250 is ludicrous.
What we do see a lot of residents do actually is, even with the $150 deposit, is they put it on a credit card, and then as soon as the event's over, we then reverse the charge on the credit card.
Okay, that's providing they have a credit card with $250 to put on a credit card. I mean, but the fact of the matter is people are living payday to payday and they're tapped out. I think it's too much.
Any other comments?
I just wanted to say a comment. I was present at one of those situations that occurred at the park, and there was a lot of traffic flow coming through, and it was causing a lot of problems. And there was actually a memorial service being given inside the facility, and they weren't even able to park because there was no place to park. So I felt really bad for them because it was inconveniencing them because these other people came in and overtook the park. So they had to park all the way by the gym and walk over. So I understand with the changes, David. I'm in agreement with you. I understand that there are families that are going through a financial situation, but I am in agreement because eventually they will get their money back. I mean, as long as they don't break any rules. So, but that's my comment, and it was very frustrating for the family at that time, and not able to get suitable parking for their family.
Yeah, I mean, we felt actually really bad when that was happening because we knew it was a memorial event. And again, this is why we know what the capacity of that park is in terms of parking. That's why there are participant limits on each of the gazebos. So we know when they're all booked and we know we have an event at the facility. We know we have enough parking if people comply with the number of participants that are allowed.
Thank you, David.
I actually, I have something. I think that those 2 weekends, I don't know if there was something in the air or what it was, because I was on another site that just, both weekends just had some really just chaotic events. I don't know if it was something in the air that whole week, but yeah, it's like you said, this is kind of, a living, I don't know if you want to call it a document that, part of me agrees with what Councilmember Gillen is saying about that, the $250 deposit. I think that these 2 weekends were definitely out of the ordinary. So I don't know how many people would necessarily go and create these huge events. I mean, it makes no sense. I really believe that most of the residents that want to, go through and rent out the shelters, I would hope they wouldn't want to throw that, that type of event, because I really believe that the residents do take it very personal when, they see I don't say people from other, outside of Paramount, but just, again, when you see, okay, wait, there's all these vehicles on the grass. I mean, I'm sure it's happened, but I think they take it very personal. So I do think these are maybe out of the ordinary events. I don't know. I mean, if it's how often this type of thing happens. I mean, I know back to back, like I said, it was a crazy week. When it comes to the memorials and special events, there should be some type of, talking about that special event permit, because I think memorials have evolved into large events that I have seen. And I'm sure that if, for some reason there are residents that, I don't know, decide they want to, spend the day at the park and, they do have one of those easy ups. I'm sure if it's just that and it's a small family, I can't see, city going by and saying, hey, you got to take that down. If they're not, at the shelter, they're just residents with their kids wanting to hang out and,
Yes, actually, I mean, we have to enable our staff to have some discretion with that, because we did actually come across that at a baseball game. Families were setting up pop-ups just to shade themselves while they watched their children play. And again, this was at the very beginning, and our staff told them to take it down. We got word of that. We instructed them that's not what it's for. The intent is to prevent people from having a full-on event party outside of the gazebos, outside of a permitted space. So yes, it would be our instruction to staff that if mom and dad show up with their kids and they set up a pop-up and they're just kicking the ball around and having pizza or whatever it is, we're not going to bother them.
So, Isabel, you said something was in the air. Yeah, it was called COVID-19. It was in the air. We came off COVID. So, of course, we're going to get a lot of people. Funerals weren't allowed. So, of course, you're going to have people. I don't think this is going to be an ongoing issue. For 2 weekends back to back, when the parks finally opened back up and people were going back outside, I mean, we have to take that into consideration before we, throw out the bathwater with the baby.
Okay, this is my thought. Is this the application process that the resident gets?
Yes.
Okay, so why don't we do this, Dave? I have a recommendation for you. So typically when you go and you rent something, there's 5 different options. Are you having a memorial, baby shower, birthday party, car show? Why can't we spell it out, have them check it, and if they're having a car show or memorial, you up the deposit. For birthday parties, you leave it at the thing. But that way it's outlined exactly what they're going to have. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because when people are applying, they're probably not telling the truth. They're having a birthday party. They're saying they're having a birthday party, but they're really going to have a memorial. If we spell it out on the application of what they're actually going to have, raise the $250 for the car shows and memorials, because that's where going to be more liability.
Well, the car shows, memorials, well, actually, when it goes to public safety, there's going to be a lot of additional costs because we have sheriff personnel that have to be involved.
Absolutely,
So
I understand that.
That's going to be somewhat of a deterrent right there. It wasn't to say that memorial events are. We had just regular birthday parties where they said, "I don't care about the $150, I'll pay it." So that wasn't necessarily problematic events. They just wanted to bring their own taco guy. They wanted to bring extra shelters, and they didn't care about the $150.
What I'm saying is that we should divide it out, because again, I think people are saying, I'm going to have a birthday party, and they're really not saying that they're going to have a car show or memorial because it's not an option for them. This is the feedback that I was getting. I was like, why didn't you guys just tell the truth? Well, I didn't know we could do it. You need to tell Parks and Rec exactly what you're doing. So I'm saying we have to put it out there for them. That way they're honest about the situation that they're going to have or the event.
We can do that to the application, absolutely. But what I'm getting at is just your regular Joe Blow having a birthday party was actually still in violation and didn't care about the $150.
Right.
But
what I'm saying on the application is that, how do you know they were just having a birthday party? Was it documented on your form that he was having a birthday party?
Well, that's what they told us, yes.
That's what he told you, but you didn't have anything in writing.
No, it's in writing. It's on the application that they tell us it's a birthday party. It is put in there.
Where is it? Okay, that's why I was asking if this is the application they use.
It's on the actual permit that gets printed out.
Okay. There's another piece, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is just the policies that they sign.
Okay.
When we go out there, we do have staff observing what the event is.
Sure.
And so they are informing us. And then, when they see it going, and they've got red flags and they see it going crazy, that's when we bring in our public safety team.
Right, right.
But we are approaching in a very nice way. letting just regular birthday parties or whatever events they're having and letting them know they're in violation. And again, we give them the opportunity to end the violation, to take down the shelters, but they just choose not to because the $150 is not enough a deterrent. We do have the ability to cite, and Maggie, I'm not sure exactly what the cite amount is, but we're working on that process to clarify that with our public safety team, and we can cite. If this helps, I don't know if you'd be more comfortable with this, in keeping the $250 deposit, but allowing me discretion. So when a family does identify to our admin team when they're trying to apply for a permit, if they do indicate that that's excessive and they're going to struggle with it, that you give me the ability to go ahead and waive portions of that, if that's an option.
I don't know if a person's going to tell you that, though. I'm just saying, I don't know if they're going to be honest. I just think, I kind of agree with Councilor McGee and Aguayo that I think, for the birthday parties, I mean, 250 is 250. Maybe they do have it, but I mean, that's not us to judge them. I just think maybe if we can put them out somewhere and just that way, I don't know, because I just don't visually see it. Maybe if I see the permit, if I'm filling it out, maybe I would see it better. I don't know. I'm just trying to see. I'm more of a visual person.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, we can certainly change the process to spell out known events, and we'll have to obviously have an other column because sometimes there are other things we don't think of. Right. But we can certainly do that.
And it sounds like there is an interest among the council to have a tiered deposit. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay.
But there's a baby shower. I mean,
Exactly.
there's,
And I have another question too, since we're on this topic. What is the issue with somebody having a pop-up? And I have a family. My family alone, I have like 12 people. That's my immediate family. I have 3 kids. They have a spouse. They have kids. If I said one day, you know what, let's go put an easy up. Let's go hang out and have a little get together. Is that a party? Is that not okay for me to use a public park in an easy up?
As I mentioned before, I mean, there will be some subjective evaluation of that, but yeah, typically if we see just a pop-up in a appropriate space, by the way, because we've seen pop-ups in the middle of the ball field, and that's inappropriate space. If you're in an appropriate space and it's just like a small family doing a thing, we're generally not going to bother you. What we're seeing though is they're putting pop-ups out because they couldn't get a shelter, so they have a 50 to 100 person party going on with multiple shelters, sometimes in inappropriate spaces on the park. So we will try to counsel our staff to make sure they understand, yeah, if you're seeing a small family gathering with a pop-up, we're not going to bother you.
It's discretionary though, and that's where the problem comes in.
And you're right, it is absolutely discretionary, and it's us working with our staff. Again, it is new for them too, it's new for all of us. So we do have to work with them to make sure that they're able to make that as a better evaluative choice as to what they're seeing. And again, they're in constant, we have a supervisor who is basically on call of the weekend, so that staff will call that full-time staff member and get direction.
The idea is to prevent the shelter, the structured shelter, from growing any further, from expanding. That's the whole point of having no easy ups alongside the shelter. As you saw in the video, that party had the shelter, plus they had a row of easy ups. So that's an example that we're trying to avoid.
And that's what needs to be spelled out.
Okay.
Right. Just a little bit more detailed out. And I do have one more comment too. I'm a little iffy on the taco vendor situation, and let me explain my reasoning on this one. Right now, the big thing out there is you hire a vendor to come and decorate. They put out food for you. That's the new thing. They have these props. It looks really cute. So I'm not sure if it's like no taco vendor that's out there selling, but if they're part of my birthday party and they're going to come and feed my 50 to 60 guests, I have a problem with that. I mean, I think we do that all the time, where we do have vendors that come out and supply food for our guests.
Well, I mean, certainly you do that at a private residence or private space. We're at a public park. We do have an issue of making sure that it is permitted by the health department. It is legal to have that person making food. We've seen in the past, it can also become an issue where they start selling to the general public on the park. I've seen that in the past. So it can be problematic, and so that's why we denied it. No.
I don't know why it's okay. Can be problematic is different than, I agree with Brenda. And then we have to be in touch with our residents and be realistic. I mean, just what you just said, not everybody has a home with a backyard and to facilitate something like that. So you're cutting out a big portion of the residents of Paramount.
It doesn't prevent you from having that material made and you bring it over in warming trays. I mean, you still have the option to do that. The problem that we experience is if you allow it, you will see abuses of it, and it becomes very hard at that point to end the abuse that's on the park. So that's why we address it that way.
That's our job, to respond as public servants to issues, and I understand trying to limit those issues for sure. That's why we have rules, and I get that. But we're discussing what is relative to what our residents, what their needs are. And so it's a balancing act for sure. But to say no across the board is too much.
So let me ask you, John and Dave, maybe we can take a look at this.
Yeah,
before we move forward. Yeah, I think
going to recommend that we continue.
Yeah, we have some
the
suggestions I
item.
think we want to help out with. And
Sure.
Okay. So
Okay, we can continue the item and bring it back to the city council
Okay.
with the feedback that we received tonight.
okay.
Great.
Do I need a motion, anything on that, or? So I'll entertain a motion that we actually,
Just continue this item and the staff will bring it back.
okay.
Okay, a
Continue
motion
item
to
and-
continue the item with the necessary changes and bring it back to council.
So no changes yet, though. We're just entertaining it. We're going to review it, they'll bring it back, and then we'll go ahead and approve it for a final. So I got a motion by Guillen and a second by Ferris Stallings. Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Aguayo.
Yes.
Councilmember Guillen.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Quer Stallings.
Yes.
Mayor Olmos.
Yes. Okay, so we have no environmental items for this agenda, so we're going to move on to our comments from council members.
Brenda, can we back up on this environmental? I just think what I'd like to see is maybe how we have the app to report trash. If we could use that same type of anonymous app to call in or document environmental complaints. I know I had talked to John Moreno earlier this week. There had been a chemical smell in the area of Garfield and Jefferson and Adams. And short of calling AQMD, who may or may not call you back, I think it would be good just to have documented data that shows where we're having some issues, and if we could do that on an app, and then maybe staff could respond to see, what we're talking about when they see fit. But I just think that it would be a good way that residents could document their concerns, the odors that they smell anonymously, so they don't feel like they're going to be retaliated against, just like we do for trash or the other apps that we have. If we could do that for our environmental sustainability.
So actually, that would be, so you're asking for something to be added to our app, Paramount
Correct.
app. So that wouldn't really, I don't think that will go under environmental sustainability new business. That may be under your comments as a request to add that to the app.
Well, we're
Correct.
talking about, that's a section for environmental issues, so, yeah.
Okay. So actually, so what we'll do is we'll just stick to you, Councilmember Guillen, with your comments.
Okay, that's cool.
Anything you would like to share?
Yes, I just want to report that I know we have a water study that's underway, and we're looking at increasing water rates over the next 5 years, a minimum of 40%. And I just want to let the residents know that I am studying it, and when I vote, I will be voting as a well-informed council person and not just giving a yay because that's what's been presented. So I do want you to know I'm researching and I'm looking into it. So I just want you to know that it's not just going forward without any concern, and I hope my other council members are doing the same. And then I understood that there was a flyer going around asking Paramount employees to give $5 here or give $5 there to raise funds for their employee picnic. We sit here as council members and we always say what a good job staff does and what a good job our employees do. So I'm challenging each of my council members, instead of asking our employees to come up with $500, I'm challenging each of you, 5 of us, to come up with $100 so that they can have their picnic and have their raffles. It's not using community funds. It's not coming out of their pocket. If we really do appreciate our employees, let's put our money where our mouth is and I'm challenging each of you to come up with $100. I have mine tonight.
Is it cash, check, or charge that you have?
I have cash.
I'll accept that challenge, Councilmember Gee, and I think our staff does deserve it. I think the money is for them to do raffles. Is that what it's for? It's like for raffles for them?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
The
That's
food
correct.
is paid for,
Correct.
and then it's for raffles.
That is correct.
Absolutely.
but
I'm in. I think they deserve it.
Okay, cool. I wasn't finished though, so let me
Oh,
finish.
you're
my
still
little
going?
snippet. I'm still going. I'm still going. I'm on a roll tonight.
All righty.
Okay, so I'm glad that happened. And then we have Mr. Yanez, who has continued to come up here. And I just want to say, I understand your frustration. I know what it feels like to be passionate about change and new ideas or a new concept, and to continuously be ignored or kept down, or what that feels like. And I would like to give you a few words of advice. Take a deep breath. Don't forget what you stand for. If a person doesn't stand for something, you will fall for anything. And I just want you to know, whether it's handball or whether it's something else, for those who are passionate about something, stand strong. I see you. I see your drive, your dedication for your cause, and many would have given up long ago. So that goes to anybody. And I just want to say, well, council may not agree with how he does it or what he does. It takes a lot to continuously, month after month, bi-monthly, come up and speak for your cause. So I do hear you. And with that, I'll turn it over.
All right. Councilmember Aguayo.
Okay, so I do have a couple of things. Saturday, we're having our 4th annual Heritage Festival. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun, so come on out. There's definitely going to be food, music, vendors, so come out and join us for that. So that's Saturday, and then we have typically our first Friday market will be the following Friday, the 13th. So, and actually, what is it? Echo Park Project, just Latin jazz will be there. So that should be fun. And the last thing I have actually is our first annual Back to School backpack giveaway. This is for a few families. So to see if you qualify, there's more information on our website, social media. You can call. But that's going to be really good for some of the kids that might not be able to, get a new backpack. And, they're going to get haircuts, trims, and that type of thing. So it should be really good for them. Just kind of a fun event where they'll get some much needed, supplies and stuff before they start school. That's all I have.
I think it's 500 kids, and do we have 50 spaces left, from what I understand?
Yes, so the cap was at 500. There are about 50 spaces left, so you just have to go on to the website link that we have, and you can actually get onto the Google Doc and register. The kids will actually get a pair of shoes. Mm-hmm. They'll get 2 sweatshirts because you go to school, eventually it gets cold. They will get a backpack full of school supplies. And then we also will feed them. We have activities for them, and then there's a lot of activities with the YMCA of things that they can join. And we'll be discussing with them their opportunities to play those sports, and there is scholarship money available to do that.
Right. And the boys will be able to get a nice trim, and the girls will be able to get their bangs cut.
We're not going to do a full Brazilian
yeah,
blowout.
No blowouts, no perms that day, just something simple for them. Thank you, Councilmember Aguayo. Vice Mayor?
Yes. Okay. I attended the last 2 concerts with Mayor Olmos, and we had a lot of participation and a lot of people dancing, and I enjoyed dancing too. I was even invited by one of our seniors to dance, and I was very honored to dance with him. And Mayor Olmos and I attended the National Night Out. It was very successful. I was able to meet a lot of our volunteers for the Neighborhood Watch, and also a few of our deputies, and also our lieutenant was attended. I was asked by a couple of residents that have children at the high school level, David, are you still giving incentives for a vaccination, sir?
Yes, as directed by council, we do have the card still available. So if anyone does in that age range of 12 to 29, believe, If they're able to get the vaccine and they can bring us their proof of vaccination, both shots, or if they get the Johnson & Johnson, the one shot, we do have a $20 gift card for them.
Okay, thank you. And also the car show that meets at Gus's on Monday afternoons. My brother's a participant, and he asked, were they allowed to participate at their cars at the festival this year?
We do not have a car show element as part of this year's festival. That is actually a request that we've had in the past, so we can look at it for next year, absolutely.
Okay.
It would be a nice part of the parade as well.
Yes, I will inform them. Anyway, I'm also, thank you. I hope to see quite a few of you this weekend at our Heritage Festival and also our backpack annual giveaway. As David Johnson mentioned, we still have 50 openings, and I hope everyone has a nice evening and enjoy the rest of your week. God bless.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I just have a couple of comments. I do, as Councilmember Guillen brought up about the water rates, I think it's very important that the residents understand of how much information we are sending to you, whether it be social media, around town. There's a lot of information that we're trying to share with you so you can understand how these rates are coming to be. Again, I think it's something that we're all studying. I think we all did receive packets this last week for us to read, understand how the process over a time period of how this increase for the water is going to happen. But I think, again, we're asking the residents, if you have questions, please come to us. That's what we're here for. If you don't understand, come to us so we can explain the process. I know sometimes when you're on social media and you're trying to read something, it's not always understandable, but we are here to assist you, so as staff. So I just wanted to put that out there regarding the water rates. And I do have one question. I'm not sure if any of the residents noticed, but my alley is lit up like a Christmas tree. Sarah, do we have new lights
We do.
in the city of Paramount?
Go ahead, Sarah. Give them the good news.
We sure do. Early last year, we had reached out to Edison to try and utilize one of their, it's called the Option E program. And they do this, they come out and they take the existing bulb and the ballast out and they pop in an LED structure. And so it's really exciting. It started last week. We think that they should be out there for the next 3 to 4 weeks, replacing almost 3,000 light bulbs and giving us some great energy efficient light out there. So yeah, we're really excited about it.
That's great. It's a lot of light. I'm not sure if you guys noticed, it was very bright.
Yeah.
So, but it was good. It's a good bright.
And it's cheaper, too. It is.
So
It really is. Yeah.
All right. Is that all? So do we have any comments from staff at this time?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I do have a few. As I've been mentioning, the air monitors for AQMD were on their way, but as I mentioned to you a few weeks ago, they are up. And they are the readings are starting to be posted on the AQMD's website, and they will be posted on the city's environmental website as well. And as we are also currently out to bid for to find a consultant to take over that duty from the AQMD once the interim air monitoring is up, and that was approved as part of the fiscal year 2022 budget for a consultant to handle that. Next thing, I'd like to report that there is a vaccine clinic at the library tomorrow from 10 to 2. So please don't forget, if you know of people that have not received the vaccine, it's a chance to get it right here in Paramount at the library. So that'll be available.
John?
The third thing I have for you is that, as I mentioned in Friday memo to you, the environmental impact report for the West Santa Ana Branch Light Rail line was released by Metro on Friday. This is a gigantic milestone for a gigantic project that's going to have a gigantic impact. And I'm not using those words heavily or not underestimating the impact of this project, but it is going to be definitely a game changer for a community having a light rail line come through our town. So we encourage the residents to review the environmental impact, especially if they're along the route, and to comment to Metro. This is the time to do it. We will be sending out postcards to the residents informing them that the EIR is out, to please visit the website. If you don't have access to a computer, come to City Hall or to the community center where a copy of the big, thick document is attached so you can see the different areas of town that it will be going through. So we will be developing a letter to Metro outlining our concerns. We have a consultant that's looking at it from the planning perspective, community development perspective, and then our engineer who's looking at from an engineer's perspective, just to make sure that our comments are heard on that. Although it's the 45-day comment period, we expect that it'll be extended to 60 days, which is a welcome extra time to be able to review that document. So we will share, obviously, a letter of that with the council as well as with the public that outlines our concerns. And the last thing, I'd like to introduce a new staff member. We had some staff restructuring, which resulted in a new full-time senior accountant in the finance department. And we did a recruitment, and we selected an in-house part-timer accountant who's been with us for 2.5 years with us. So would Joanna Cha please stand up? There's Joanne. Hi. Joanne has been, as I mentioned, working as a part-timer with us in the finance department for 2.5 years. She's a part-time accountant. She worked very closely on a couple projects as a part-timer, accepting credit card payments at the front counter. And as I mentioned to the council about 6 months ago, we now accept payment by credit card at the front counter. So that was her doing, as well as a couple other team members. And you can now pay your utility bill electronically. That was another one of her projects. So she's been really working hard as a part-timer. She has a bachelor's degree from UCLA, yay. She worked as a structural engineer first and then became a full then she became a full-time mom. Then she studied and worked as an accountant for 5 years before joining us as a part-timer. She has a husband of 17 years and a daughter and son who are 12 and 11, and they like to do a number of activities like hiking, swimming, and she also plays classical music on the piano. So she's a very accomplished piano. So welcome aboard as a full-timer.
Welcome.
John?
Yay.
Yes, Steve.
When you mentioned vaccines, I just like to point out that the county will also be providing a vaccine provider at the Heritage Festival and at the August 13th Friday night market. So if anybody in the community needs a shot, we also have them available at those two events.
Great. Thanks, Dave, for the reminder. Appreciate it. And that concludes the comments from staff.
All right. Thank you so much, John. All right. With that said, we will go ahead and adjourn to our successor agency for the Paramount Rail Development Agency. I'll go ahead and call to order. If I can get a roll call of council members, please.
Councilmember Aguayo.
Here.
Councilmember Guillen.
Here.
Councilmember Lemons. Vice Mayor Cuellar Stallings.
Here.
Mayor Olmos.
I am here. Do I need to get a motion for the absence of, may I get a motion and a second for the absence of Councilmember Peggy Lemons, please?
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion by Cuellar Stallings, second by Aguayo. Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Aguayo.
Yes.
Councilmember Guillen.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cuellar Stallings. Mayor Olmos.
Yes. All right. Do we have any public comments at this time?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I'll go ahead and entertain a motion for the consent calendar, please, in a second.
So moved. Second.
So I got a motion by Cuellar Stallings, second by Guillen. Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Aguayo.
Yes.
Councilmember Guillen.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cuellar Stallings.
Yes.
Mayor Olmos.
Yes. Okay, we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting till September 7th at 6 p.m. And at this time, I'd like to reconvene our city council meeting, and we will be going into closed session for conference with labor negotiators, Government Code Section 54957.6. City representatives are Andrew Villapanto, Irma Rodriguez, Moisa, and employee organization Teamsters. So we'll move to closed hands. Thank you, guys. right, we are back from closed session, and we will now have a report from our attorney, John Kavanaugh.
Yes, so Madam Mayor, the City Council did conduct a duly authorized closed session under Government Code Section 54957.6. No decision has been made in closed session which require publication. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Kavanaugh. I think with that said, we will go ahead and we're able to adjourn tonight's meeting. Actually, we will be adjourning tonight's meeting, council meeting, in honor of 3 Paramount residents who have recently passed and were champions of our community, and I did want to mention them tonight. It's Johnny Franco, Jared Gillum, and Pastor Corver. And we just want to let you know on behalf of myself and my colleagues, our condolences and prayers are with your families. So I will go ahead and adjourn this meeting in their honor till September 7th at 6 p.m. Everybody have a good evening. Thank you for joining us.